Good morning and welcome to 7 Key Practices for Living Your Magic. My name is Beata Alfoldi, and for those of you that missed the live webinar yesterday, it was absolutely wonderful and I had such a great time with everyone who joined me. So thank you so much for taking the time out to actually really set some firm and solid intentions moving forward in your lives for 2017. So as you know, yesterday was my first live webinar, and so I did something that I probably will never do again, and that's I forgot to press the record button. But I am in a process as one of the 7 key practices. It's about continuing to develop our integrity. So I said that I would do a recording for you. So here I am the next day actually doing a recording for you again. So thank you for joining me. You're still going to be getting everything that everyone else received yesterday in the live recording, but this one is just me again in the morning sharing this with you. So please have a notepad and pen ready, because after each practice, what I'm going to be doing is sharing a small exercise, for want of a better word, for you to actually continue to cultivate in your life on a daily basis. Let me just begin by sharing a little bit about myself. I actually identify myself professionally as a medicine woman. I'm a shamanic practitioner and healer, and I facilitate workshops and retreats all over the world. And I absolutely love what I do. I've been walking this path very deeply over the past 10 years. I've taken groups of people to Peru to work with indigenous shamans and plant medicines. I've taken people to Mexico, to Bali, and over the next couple of years, I'll be expanding to Thailand and Egypt as well. So stay tuned. At the end of the webinar also, I will be sending out a link for those of you who are interested, and this is for women only, in joining my 9-month mentorship program, which will be face-to-face in Sydney next year, starting in March. And I will also be having an online version for the international community. So at the end of this webinar also, I'm going to be creating an ebook for all of you, and that'll be downloadable in the next couple of weeks. And Wild Heart Awakening, as it is, will be going through an enormous transformation, and I'll be coming out as Beata Alfoldi, which is really, really exciting. I want to mention my business mentor and coach, who none of this would have been possible. Her name is Yamini Catherine Tui, and she's the founder of globalwoman.com and also Yoba, your online business agency.com. So I can highly recommend Yamini. As I said before, all of these visions that I had for my business moving forward, there is absolutely no way I could have implemented them without her support and also without her vision and help. So if you do have a business and you're an entrepreneur and you would like to move your business forward, I highly recommend Yamini, and she works internationally as well. So I hope you've got your notepad and pen ready, as well as perhaps a glass of water. What I'd like to do is to begin with a centering practice that is incredibly simple to do. It takes about 3 minutes. But if you begin your day like this every day, I promise you'll be setting yourself up to create a fantastic day for yourself. So I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes, bring your awareness into your heart space, and let's begin. Acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land, honouring each and every one of your ancestors, calling in my ancestors and those who work with me, honouring the directions of the east, the south, the west, and the north, Mother Earth, Pachamama, Madre Tierra, honoring the sun and the moon, and coming back to spirit, the universe, the divine, God, goddess, whatever it is that you call this life force, this universal intelligence that runs through each and every one of us and each and every living being. Keeping your awareness centered into your heart space. And this morning we're using a beautiful golden white light, expanding that energy beyond your body so that every cell is activated, so that you are clearing and cleansing. And now with intention, sending that energy all the way down your body, down your legs, all the way down and out through your feet, through your earth star, and moving all the way down into the center of the earth, to that crystalline molten core, grounding and connecting in with the enormous intelligence and the ancient wisdom of the earth, seeing the roots grow deeply into the earth for you. And now bringing that energy all the way up through the different layers of the earth, all the way up through your body, and coming back to your heart space. And now gently moving this energy all the way up through the upper energy centers of your body, through the crown of your head, through your soul star, connecting in with the highest aspect of yourself, your high self, the one who knows and sees all. Connecting in with your own intelligence and your own wisdom. And now bringing that energy all the way back to the crown of your head to rest into your heart space. Deeply connected to the earth, deeply connected to your own source of inspiration, and back to yourself. Gracias, gracias, gracias. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Beautiful. And now we're here, now we're present together. Welcome. So, as I was sharing before, I identify myself as a shamanic practitioner and healer. And I'm so excited to be sharing these 7 key practices with you, because for me, my gifting to the world and my medicine that I carry is the medicine of transformation. And I truly believe that all of our stories of joy, of pain, of suffering have somehow been co-created for us. And the purpose for all of these journeys is to continue to wake us up to who we are and to continue to wake us up to our infinite potential as co-creators on this incredible planet. So let me share, and I've got my notes here, so let me share with you the first key practice. So please write this down. And for me, one of the most important aspects of our spiritual journey is in practicing presence. And what I mean by that is allowing all aspects of ourselves to become fully active and engaged in every single moment. And we've all been in situations when we're with someone and you can see that they're not really present with you. They're either thinking about what they're going to be doing next, or they were thinking about what happened before they saw you. And when you're constantly engaging with someone in that energy, even if it's for a brief time, there's a part of us that always feels a little bit disrespected, like, gosh, they've obviously got something better to do. So you can imagine if that is our perception of that individual when they're not really present with us, you can imagine what happens when we're not fully present in every moment in life. It means that life cannot fully meet us either. So practicing presence, as in bringing all of our attention from the past and all of our concerns about the future into the present moment, is actually incredibly powerful. It means that we activate all of the powers of creation in that moment to be present with us also, which means all of the faculties, all knowledge and all wisdom literally becomes available to us in that moment when we open up to infinite source. I remember a couple of years ago, I went to see an incredible satsang with Magii from India. And he's a wonderful spiritual teacher. And this was a 2-hour satsang. And I remember the first thing that he said to all of us was, "I so happy to be here with all of you. And I just want to share with you that I have not prepared anything." And the reason he said that he hadn't prepared anything, because he wanted to be fully present to what was arising for him and with us in that moment of co-creation. And it was so powerful because he was absolutely right. In that moment, if he had prepared something, it would have been very different to what was actually arising in that moment, when he had all of his senses of intuition, his sight, his awareness kinesthetically, his auditory awareness, his visual awareness. It would have been a completely different discourse. So one way that we can practice presence is exactly what I shared with you before, is to just drop your awareness or move your attention into your heart, and then move it further into your hara if you're a man, or womb space if you're a woman, and just center yourself in the breath. Ground yourself into the earth and into your connection with your highest aspect of self, and bring all of your attention into the present moment. When we are completely present in the moment, as in paying attention to what we are doing, whether that is washing the dishes or being present and available to a friend, doing work, cleaning the house, going for a walk, whatever it is, when we bring our full attention to the moment and everything around us opens up to us. And it literally is a magical experience, because it's that experience of being fully alive. And most of us are either living in the past or we're living in the future, and we never really experience that present moment awareness of being alive. Greatest gift that we can give to ourselves, and certainly the greatest gift that we can give to each other. So practicing presence is definitely one of the components to living an incredibly magical and fulfilling life, not only for you, but for the people that you have in your life, and all of the gifts that I know that you want to share, and all of the journeys that we all share with each other all the time. Number one. So jot down any notes that you have with that. And obviously at the end of each practice, there is a moment for you to actually jot down some notes for yourself. Okay. So number two, and this is really important, living an intentional life, living with intention. Most of us allow our lives just to happen randomly, and we wonder why there's chaos, and we wonder why things don't move forward in the way that we like with intention. It's because we're not paying attention. And one of the key principles of having an intentional life is to bring all of our attention on our intentions. So for instance, someone can have a very good intention of creating a successful marriage with someone, or having a very successful business, and feeling that their lives are fully abundant. And when I mean abundance, I don't just mean monetary wealth. I mean abundance, beautiful relationships, friendships, health, fulfilling work, fulfilling life-work balance. So abundance is all areas of our lives, a deep spiritual connection. So many times people come to me and go, I really want to focus on having a wonderful relationship. But what happens is that all of their focus, without them realizing it, is around drama, is around the things that are not working in their lives. And because they're continuously focusing on what is not working, they lose sight of their intentions. They don't realize that their intention is actually going towards other things, and wondering why their lives are not moving forward. So focusing our minds and being very aware of our thoughts, our words, and how we're moving forward in life is one of the keys to creating a life that is deeply fulfilling, that is creating a life that is on purpose. So focusing all of our attention on our intentions is incredibly important. Otherwise, our lives just happen randomly, and we're wondering why. Nothing is random. So one of the practices that I love to do is called the bridge. And what I like to do is I like to focus on perhaps an outcome first. And I create a bridge between where I am now and the desired outcome. And the desired outcome has got to be how I feel with that outcome, what I see in that outcome, what I feel in that outcome. So I create a bridge between where I am now and what is my desired outcome. And then what I do is actually move backwards with all the steps, until it's just the next step from where I'm at now. What is the next step that you need to take in order to create your manifested outcome in your work, in your health, in your personal relationships, in your living environment? Create that bridge between where you are and where you would like to be, and move backwards from that bridge. Have a look at all the steps it would take for you to actually create that manifested outcome, and move backwards, and just focus on the next step. Because if we don't just focus on the next step, we're going to go into overwhelm, and we end up creating nothing. So again, an intentional life, making sure that you are focused. Don't get caught up in all the drama of other people's lives. Focus on what you would like to create. And if your focus is on creating one thing, but you realize that all these other things are being created, well, then have a look at yourself. You may be saying that you want to create one thing, but then that shadow aspect of yourself, that shadow aspect of all of ourselves that we're not often aware of, is creating all this chaos, and we don't realize that that's actually taking up more of our time. So keep clear, keep focused, and set your intentions. Okay? That's the second key practice to living a magical life, to living your magic. So just take a moment to jot down anything that you would like from this particular practice. The third practice is, and I love this one, spending time in nature. When I was doing my 2-year diploma, full-time diploma in shamanism and shamanic healing and eco-psychology, one of the components of our diploma, and it was amazing because I received a very firm grounding with all of my work. And then of course I traveled and lived in Peru, and I traveled and lived in Mexico, and studied with different indigenous shamans and curanderas and curanderos and healers and schools of thought and philosophy. And one of the things that I noticed about people that were very connected to themselves and very connected to the totality of life was that they spent time in nature. And now, with all of us living in these urban environments, what I see happens on a collective level is that we have something called nature deficit order. And the practice of eco-psychology is the practice of understanding that when we are disconnected from the natural world and the natural environment around us, we more often than not become disconnected from ourselves. Okay? Because we're natural beings, we're animals. We are part of the natural world. So whenever anyone comes to me as a private client for depression or anything else, the first thing I say to them is, A, are you spending time in nature? And B, are you exercising? Are you really connected in with your physical body? And we all know that nature provides every sort of healing that we can possibly have that is available to us. When we go into the ocean, literally the ocean cleanses our auric field. We know scientifically that the ocean and the molecules around the ocean can actually have negative ions. And negative ions have a positive influence on our mental health and our emotional health. And we naturally are drawn to environments that are close to nature whenever we're not feeling great. So going into the ocean is a wonderful cleanser for the auric field. And then going into the mountains, going into forest, tree environments is also incredibly grounding. Bringing your back onto the back of a tree and really grounding in with the tree. Earthing, grounding practices. Did you know that on the surface of the earth, there is a negative electrical potential? And literally when we stand with our bare feet on the earth, we are recalibrating our electrical currents to be in line with the earth's. So standing on the earth with our bare feet has actually proven scientifically to reduce inflammation. It helps with all sorts of diseases. It helps with depression. It helps with all sorts of aging diseases. So you can see now why actually spending time in nature, getting away from the computer, getting away from the television, from all sorts of audio and electrical devices, not turning the television on when you're feeling stressed, but actually going into the natural environment is so healthy for you. A wonderful practice that I'm going to suggest for each of you every single day is just to ground. And what I mean by that, you can actually look this up. It's called earthing. It's called grounding techniques. You find a patch of grass or some dirt, anything else. Take your shoes off. Take your rubber shoes off. Take your shoes completely off and bring your feet onto the earth. Close your eyes and just breathe into your belly. Just breathe into your belly and imagine that the roots through your feet are going very deeply into the earth. All it takes is 3 to 5 minutes. If you did that every single day, literally the electrical currents in your body, because we are all electrical beings, will align with the earth's, and you will find that it engages in your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the aspect of our nervous system that is involved and engaged with well-being, with healing, with feelings of feeling well, feeling safe, feeling joyous. It will literally engage with those aspects of our nervous system. Because what happens for most of us, because we're so full and busy with our lives, is our sympathetic nervous system is usually engaged, which is the fight or flight. So one of the key aspects to living a life that is rich and full and abundant and deeply connected to self is to continue to cultivate practices that are deeply embodied, where you're very, very grounded and very present. So an earthing practice, a grounding practice is a wonderful way, and a wonderful way to continue to keep connected with yourself so that you are constantly replenishing yourself, not emptying your cup all the time, but filling your cup every day so that you can give not only to yourself first and foremost, so that you can give to others, so that you can give to projects that are important to you. So take a few moments to write this down as well. Now, the next key practice is developing courage and trust. Why have I put courage and trust together? Because it takes courage and it takes honesty with ourselves to really look at what is not working in our lives. And it takes courage to make those necessary changes. And once we make those necessary changes in our lives for any situations that are not serving us, whether it's a relationship situation or whether it's a work situation or whether your life is completely chaotic and out of balance, so you're not able to pay attention to your health, then it takes the courage and the honesty and then the trust to realize that once we've made those decisions, that everything in your life will conspire to support you in your journey. So many of us don't trust the process of our lives, and we're so fearful of making the changes that we know that we need to make. What if we're not going to be supported financially? What if I'm never going to meet someone again? What if? And so many people live lives of quiet desperation in situations, in work environments, in relationships that do not serve them because of fear. But if we look back on our lives, we can see that everything happened for a reason. We can see that all the decisions, all the choices that we made, no matter how long we prolonged these decisions that we need to make, that somehow we were always supported. There is not one event in any of our lives where we were not supported. And we need to find the courage, the real courage, to just trust in that process, to trust in the process of life. Life is always working for us, never against us. And I remember 5 years ago when every aspect of my life seemingly just fell apart. I lost my son in childbirth in the process of 3-day labor. 2 weeks later, I found out that my mother was terminally ill with cancer and has since passed. My husband and I, our relationship fell apart. And then, through all of this, as a consequence to all of this, I also lost my finances. So what was of paramount importance at that time, obviously I was going through a huge, enormous grieving process, but was to trust and was to anchor my spiritual practices. Had I not had a strong spiritual practice, there is no way that I would have got through any of that. But I trusted. And I trusted in the process of my life. I trusted that this was happening for some kind of reason. And now, honestly, I look back on this and it was the greatest gift of my life, because it set the wheels in motion for me to continue to trust and deepen my spiritual practice and have the courage to make the changes that I needed to make. I would not be doing what I'm doing now and living the life that I have now, which is so incredibly rich and full, if it wasn't for those experiences. Okay? And I understand why those experiences happen. I also understand and know so deeply that I'm a co-creator. So I'm not a victim in any of this. A powerful person has stepped out of the role of victim and asks different questions. So I asked, what is this inviting me into? What are all of these experiences inviting? What is life inviting me into? So I had to have the courage to make the necessary changes. And in so doing, I trusted the process of my life. And I'll share with you a wonderful technique, and it's a focusing technique. It's a mind-body focusing technique. So I'm going to invite you just to close your eyes for a moment and feel into a decision that you're needing to make in your life. Anything. And I want you to really move into your body and look at two paths that are opening up for you. The one path is one choice. And I want you to just move down this path and continue to connect in with your body and see if there's any images or any sensations that are happening in your heart or in your belly, in your solar plexus, in your head. And see if there is an image or a feeling that comes up. Is it a feeling of expansion, of contraction? Does an image come up for you that is shocking or interesting or inviting? And then bring your energy back from that path. And then now move down the other road, the other path, where it's another choice, a different choice that you can make. And feel into this path and into what would be the consequence of this choice that you've made. How does your body feel? How do the sensations in your body feel? Do you have a feeling of contraction or expansion? Is there a feeling of joy or heaviness? How does your heart feel? Do you get any colors? Again, any images? What are you receiving from your own awareness? What is your soul communicating to you? Because don't forget, our soul communicates to us through images. So what are you receiving from your own awareness? And then bring your awareness back. When we make choices without going into our heads and asking everybody on the planet, everyone that we know, what should I do? What should I do? I don't know what I need to do. Come back to yourself. Take a moment in nature and have a look at some options. Have a look, open up the doors. Have a look at, if I go down this option, how does my body feel? If I move down this option and I stay in this situation, I stay in this work, life choice, relationship choice, how does my body feel? Your body will know. You will know. You don't need to go outside of yourself for anything. We have all of the answers within. And when you do this type of focusing technique, this mind-body connection technique, it becomes very, very clear what you need to do. Then you need to have the courage to be committed. Okay? Excuse me. I release through burping, for those of you that know and work with me energetically. So mind body focusing is a wonderful tool and technique to take all of the mind chatter out, to take all of the, I'm going to ask this person and this person and this person, everyone's opinion away, and come back to yourself and come back to your own deep knowing. Okay, so just jot this down, please, and write that down for yourself. Now, we come to the next one, refining and developing our personal integrity. When I talk about integrity in this context, I'm not talking about what's morally right or wrong. I'm talking about developing authenticity with yourself, developing an awareness of who you are, and then understanding that all of your words, all of your thoughts, and all of your actions must be in line with your highest truth. Okay? It means that if you're working in the health industry somehow, that you're not going away on weekends and getting absolutely trashed with anything. It's okay to have moderation. It's absolutely fine to have a couple of glasses of wine here and there. But it's not okay to completely annihilate ourselves on any level. So that's called out of in line with integrity. Okay? Being out of in line with integrity means that, when we say we're going to do something for someone, that we follow through. First of all, when we say we're going to do something for ourselves, we follow through with that. Whenever we are stepping up and building our personal power, we also need to build our integrity. We need to also build our compassion towards ourselves and others. Remember that we are here in the material and the physical world, and literally whatever it is that we think and we speak, we create. We create our world into being. We dream our world into being through our thoughts and our words. That's why it's called spelling, because we are literally creating spells every time we speak. Next time you go and connect with some friends, practice some awareness and observe what is the main conversation always revolved around. Is it gossipy? Is it always revolved around other people? Is it negative talk about oneself, about others? You can generally get a gauge of where you are truly in life with the types of people and the conversations that you're continuously engaging in on a day-to-day basis, on the types of conversations that you have in your head. Are they conversations that are compelling, that are positive, that are joyful, that are focused on the good things in life, that are focused on inspiring yourself and others, that are focused on bigger topics, that are focused on your real intentions and what you would like to create in your life, encouraging others, encouraging yourself. Okay? So start having a look on a day-to-day basis. Start observing yourself, all the little things when you're driving in traffic, when you're catching up with friends. What are you speaking about? What are they speaking about? How do you feel when you leave them? Do you feel drained or energized? This is how we leak energy. And when we leak energy in one area of our life, it's going to show up in another. It's going to show up in our finances. It's going to show up in other ways. And we'll wonder why, oh gosh, why do I never have enough money? Or why do I never have enough of this? Because you're leaking energy. You'll be leaking energy in other areas. So it constantly comes back to self-referencing. Nobody does anything to us. We need to grow in our spiritual maturity and realize that we are co-creating everything. We are the only ones that are there in every single situation in our lives. So if that's the case, what are you continuously co-creating? Are your situations co-creating family of origin stories? Are you still working out issues in your relationships with your father or with your mother? Are you still not loving yourself enough, and it's showing in your abundance, it's showing in your relationships, it's showing in your work environment. Everything comes back to self-love and how we speak about ourselves. Everything. So the practice here is self-awareness. Is to write down every single day just 3 things that you would like to create for the day. 3 things. Take a moment and just in the morning, just go, how would I like this day to unfold? I'd like to feel joyful. I'd like to feel uplifted. I'd like to feel inspired. And if my days generally involve me complaining or not feeling inspired or feeling small, then I've got to change something. So daily practice is really being aware of our thoughts and our words, and then our actions, and committing to our actions, committing to our personal integrity, following through with things for ourselves that we're going to do, following through with things for others that we say we're going to do, because love expresses itself through actions. We can't just talk about what we're going to do or how we're going to be or how we're going to feel. We've actually got to action them. So see if every day you can actually just write down a couple of things that you would like to create every single day. Keep it in the present. Keep it simple. Notice what you talk about every day. Notice what you talk about with your friends every day, how you talk to yourself every day. Write down a few things for that. Number 6, cultivating a sense of gratitude. This is a big one. If the only thing that you said or we said every day is thank you, that would be enough. None of us would be here without, on some level, one person loving us and deeply loving us. So every day, I want you to think about all of the things that you can be grateful for. Your health, your family, the fact that you've got enough food or clothes, water, a roof over your head, beautiful animals in your life, friends, simple things. Cultivating gratitude in any area of our life will continue to foster all of the beauty that is around you. When we're constantly looking at all the negativity in our lives, the things that are not working, it's going to continue to activate that area. Because remember, what you focus on grows. Like I said before, when your attention is, if your intention is to continue to cultivate a life of abundance, but your attention is always on, oh, I don't have any money for this, I don't have any money for this, I don't have any money for that, and I'm going to constantly focus on all this gossip because I don't want to have and make the necessary choices that I need to make to continue to focus on this, to create an amazing life for myself. What we focus on grows. What we appreciate appreciates. So cultivating a sense of gratitude for our lives is so important because it also develops our humility for the little things. You know, I'm going to invite each and every one of you to do a 21-day practice. They say it takes 21 days to break a habit. I would love, and I'm inviting you to practice gratitude. 3 things every morning that you can be grateful for. And at the end of the 21 days, I want you to have a look at all the things that you wrote down. And honestly, I promise you, every area of your life is going to improve when you start appreciating it more. It's like when any of us go into a relationship or when we've been in relationships and they're doing really, really well. And then suddenly after the romantic period, after the big honeymoon phase, we start focusing on all the little things. Oh, he doesn't do this or she doesn't do that. All the things that we don't like that we don't appreciate. And it tends to grow and it tends to grow and that tends to grow. And then we wonder why the relationship is over in 3 months, because we've been focusing on all the negative things. Now, all of us have a shadow. None of us are perfect, but what we can do is to continue to cultivate and appreciate all the beauty in not in ourselves, in our lives and each other. Because when we focus on all the good things, those good things grow. It's not because we then suddenly become naive and we don't understand and we're not aware of what's going on in the world. It's incredibly important to be aware of what's going on in the world. I'm talking about focusing on and appreciating all the beauty in our lives. And I'll tell you this, talking about focusing on what's going on in the world, the best thing you can do on a day-to-day basis is to make sure that what it is that you're buying, your consumer choices are done with an awareness. So that simple things like the eggs that you buy from the supermarket, that they're not, caged eggs. If you eat meat, the meat that you buy is biodynamic and organic, that you're aware of where your clothes come from. The best thing you can do on a personal level, on a day-to-day basis, is to understand what you're investing your money in, what bank you bank with. Do they have fossil fuel interests? Where is your money going on a day-to-day basis? What do you support? Because when you pull your money and your time and your attention away from things that are not supporting the environment, that not supporting animal welfare, it means that those businesses have to change. Because when anything is in high demand, then businesses will change around that demand. So if you want to become politically active, make some choices now on a day-to-day basis. Be aware of what you're buying. Support local farmers. Buy organic. Take your food away from all of those big industries and start supporting your local industries, local environments. Come back to community. This is the best thing that we can do for the world, because at the end of the day, the more and more that we cultivate change for ourselves and self-awareness for ourselves, which is what all of this webinar is about, the more and more we're going to create change in the lives of those around us, and then that has a ripple effect. People that are in their hearts and that are happy and on purpose and fulfilled don't want to go and bomb other countries and create war in other environments. They want to love more. They want to give more. People that are deeply fulfilled and joyous create deeply fulfilling and joyous environments. Okay, so we're talking about changing the world one step at a time by changing ourselves. So the 21-day practice of cultivating just 3 things every day that you can be grateful for is really going to change your life, and it will move you through into the new year. So this is a wonderful practice to set up and get your family and friends to do it with you. Yeah. Last and not least is to incorporate a spiritual practice every single day. As I shared with you before, when I was going through the most challenging time of my life, the most important thing that I did every day was my spiritual practice. When we are deeply connected to some type of spiritual practice on a daily basis, life ends up taking on a whole new meaning. Rather than looking outside of ourselves for the answer, we continue to look within ourselves, and we become the source of our own inspiration. So cultivating a daily practice, whether you're a Buddhist or whether you're Jewish or whether you're Christian, whatever it is, whether it's yoga, walking every day, but having an awareness of presence is of primary importance. I do something very different, very, very simple every day, and that is light a candle in the morning, burn some incense, put on some beautiful, inspiring music. I write a little bit, and I just sit for a moment. And I connect in with my feelings and with myself. I do that very simple meditation that we did at the beginning of this webinar. And I set myself up energetically for the day. I have gratitude. And I focus on what I would like to create, within and without. So simple. Nothing should ever be complicated. If it's complicated, it's not the path for you. All of these practices are so simple. Your spiritual practice may be walking in the park to some inspirational podcast. Your spiritual practice may be doing yoga every day, swimming, but having a presence, cultivating presence, not frantic, I'm just swimming to get fit, but having the presence, feeling the water, feeling those sensations, connecting in with yourself. Every single day, spiritual practice. Just for 5 minutes, just for 10 minutes, it may be 20. Every single day, the more and more you cultivate a spiritual practice, a daily spiritual practice, the more and more you will develop a connection with yourself. As I said before, the key to living a very fulfilling life is firstly to understand who you are, who we are. Now, when I share all of these practices, I'm talking to myself as well, because it's always that we are in a process of growth. The greatest thing that we can do for anyone in our lives is to develop our own personal awareness. It is the greatest gift for ourselves and our loved ones. So, those are the 7 key practices to living your magic. And I'm encouraging you to continue to develop them for yourself and see how your life transforms over the next year. Trust me, it will. And it means that whatever happens in your life, you're going to develop a very strong resilience and a very strong and courageous heart and a trust in the process of your lives. Okay? So thank you so much for listening. If you've made it this far, beautiful. And I just want to share with you a couple of ways that you can work with me moving forward. As I said before, I'm going to be developing a 9-month mentorship program for women here in Sydney that's going to start in March, and I will be having a free taster evening in January. So please keep yourself informed of that. I'm going to be sharing a link in a moment where you can click on and register your interest for the 9-month mentorship program, not only face-to-face and in person, but I'm going to be developing an online mentorship program as well for people that's open up to the international community. I've also got my wonderful 1-week retreat in Bali for women only, September the 21st to the 28th next year. So please place your name down for that. And then you can either work with me one-to-one on Skype or in my clinic if you live here in Sydney. So there's many ways that you can work with me. Please email me with any questions that you have around this webinar and around anything that I've shared. And also email me and let me know what you would love the next webinar to be about. The next webinar is actually going to be Tuesday, January the 17th at 11 a.m. And I'd love for you to join me on that as well. Again, it's going to be the first 50, first in, first served. But other than that, I am sending you so much love for today, and create an amazing day. Remember that we are the ones that co-create our lives. So start creating a life of magic. Let's all rise in love. Let's all rise in personal awareness, and let's all continue to cultivate community around us. Okay, have a beautiful Christmas and New Year wherever you are in the world, and I look forward to reconnecting with you again in January. So much love to you. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.